The meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the April 21, 2026 meeting of the City of Greenville Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is John Collins, and I'm the chair of this commission. Kenneth, would you do the invocation, please?
Yes. Lord, let us make good decisions tonight. Please keep watch over us the rest of the week. In your name I pray, amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
John Collins,
Present.
Zach Woodmansee,
Here.
Alan Thomas, Carlos White,
Here.
Kimber Stone,
Here.
Thomas Remington,
Here.
Clayton Self,
Here.
William McCurry,
Here.
Brad Carter,
Here.
Toya Jacobs, Annika Royal, Kenneth Bell.
Here.
We have quorum.
All right, our next matter of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion of the agenda, or will somebody move to approve it?
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay, or abstaining. All right, agenda is approved. Minutes. You have all been presented in advance with the minutes from the March 17, 2026 meeting, and you've had an opportunity to read and review the minutes. Are there any questions or corrections to advance? I sense that you're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve the minute. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Or abstentions? Okay. Minutes are approved. New business. Request by Boviet USA Property LLC to rezone 34.45 acres located at the northeastern corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway and Sugg Parkway from PIU, Planned Unoffensive Industry, to IU, Unoffensive Industry. Staff presentation by Chris Kelly.
Good evening. So, this property is located in the northeastern quadrant of the city, and also this property is in the recognized industrial area for the city of Greenville. More specifically, this property is located at the northeastern corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway and Sugg Parkway. This is an image of the property taken on Sugg Parkway. To your left will be Martin Luther King Jr. Highway. This is an image of the property taken on Martin Luther King Jr. Highway, and to your right would be Sugg Parkway. Staff does not anticipate any change in intensity between the current and proposed zoning, so therefore a traffic volume report was not generated for this request. This request is for just under 34.5 acres. The property drains to Cannon Swamp. If stormwater rules apply, would require 10-year detention, nitrogen, and phosphorus reduction. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area, and there may be jurisdictional wetlands on the property, and there are no jurisdictional streams and buffers on the property. Under the current zoning of PIU, the property currently accommodates 535,000 square feet of manufacturing space, and under the proposed zoning of IU, staff does not anticipate any increase in intensity on the subject property, and this property is built out. Really, the rezoning is for the reconfiguration of lot lines. The future land use and character map recommends industrial logistics at the northeastern corner of the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Highway and Sugg Parkway, extending northwest to North Memorial Drive and NC 903 North. In staff's opinion, the requested zoning is in compliance with the future land use and character map. Therefore, staff recommends approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. The public hearing is open. The first speaker will have 5 minutes, with each additional speaker having 3 minutes until 30 minutes has expired. Is there anyone present to speak in favor of this request? Please identify yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assure you it will not take 5 minutes. My name is Tom Terrell. I'm with the law firm Fox Rothschild. My address for your record is 230 North Elm Street in Greensboro. I'm here tonight for Boviet USA. It's a building that currently already exists. The sole purpose of this rezoning is because there are arbitrary setbacks in the existing zoning district that make it inconvenient to build another building on the same tract, and this new zoning district just creates and allows smaller setbacks, and that is the sole purpose. I could answer any questions, but I would like to say before I sit down, I average about 75 hearings a year. I am in, at all times, 30 or more jurisdictions doing things like this, not just in North Carolina, but in also surrounding states. It's a rarity when I get to deal with and work with a planning department where somebody answers the telephone and is responsive immediately and consistently. It's been a long time since I have said this to any board, and I just wanted to say to Shantae and about Shantae, I appreciate it. My client has appreciated it. It is a rarity, unfortunately, but I can tell you right now, planning and economic growth and development go together, hand in glove, and you have a great person who is doing that. So thank you. But we do ask your support and approval on this rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Is there anyone else present to speak in favor of the request? Seeing none, is there anyone present to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed, and I will turn it over to board discussion or a motion.
We need the language on this one?
I'm about to ask, is it up and down, is it the language?
We've got it here somewhere, yeah.
Third page.
I'm sure you all have it memorized by now, but
Yeah, right.
I have no discussion. If anyone else doesn't, I'll go ahead with it. Motion to recommend approval of the proposed amendment to advise that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and to adopt the staff report which addresses plan consistency and other matters.
second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is a request by Stroud Engineering, PA, for a preliminary plat entitled Colony Farms, located southeast of the intersection of Mills Road and Manor Court. The property is further identified as Pitt County Tax Parcel Number 85696. The proposed plat consists of 90 single-family lots on 40.05 acres. Staff presentation by Mr. Malcolm Johnson.
Good evening. So the subject property is located in the southeast quadrant of the city. To be more precise, you have a JUC substation adjacent to the property. Down the road got Hope Middle School, and to the north you have DH Conley. There is no flood hazard on the property. So this property is zoned R9S for 9,000 square feet. The only type of housing is allowed is single family. So this plat consists of 40.05 acres, and it's gonna be a total of 90 lots. To be more precise, I kind of turned the plat so you can have Mills Road to the north, similar to like you see on the aerial. The subdivision review board had approved this plat and recommend approval. Please consider that if the board do deny this plat, you must state the reason why in writing. Any questions from the board?
No questions for Mr. Johnson?
No.
Thank you. All right, the public hearing is open. The first speaker will have 5 minutes, with each additional speaker having 3 minutes until 30 minutes has expired. Is there anyone present to speak in favor of this request? And Please state your name for the record, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Richie Brown. I'm here with Stroud Engineering on behalf of the developer and speaking in favor of this development. This preliminary plat just sets the pace for us to move forward with construction plans. To get into more detail on the job, I'll be glad to answer any design questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Brown? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone present to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, I will turn it over to the board for discussion or a motion. And here we don't need the long language.
That's gonna be,
Alan moves to approve. And
I was just about to
Yeah,
say what he
you-
said.
yeah,
I was like,
you-
man, that's gonna be a
this
busy
was the
road,
easy,
man.
that was the easy one,
It's
and you
gonna be a
blew it.
busy road, but I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, say nay. The motion passes. Thank you. All right, the next item, it's in here somewhere. This is a long one. Take a drink of water first.
Some dramatic pause.
Maybe once again in the middle. Request by the Community and Development Services Department to make various changes to the Unified Development Ordinance, or UDO, including but not limited to updating the name of the Planning and Development Services to Community and Development Services, and renaming Neighborhood Meeting to Community Engagement Meeting, adding and/or amending the following definitions: alcohol beverage control, event center, microbrewery, and microdistillery, updating and reorganizing the table of uses and the table of permitted vegetable, reducing parking requirements for recreation indoor, skating rinks, pool halls, and the like, and golf course, par 3, driving range, miniature golf, and the like, deleting event center mixed beverage permit as a use in the following zoning districts: MO, MCH, MUI, OR, IU, IPIU, and PI. Clarifying the number of security personnel required for bars, bar 22s, microbreweries if amplified entertainment after 11 p.m. is provided, and updating the standards for shelter for homeless or abused persons, accessory sales, alcohol sales, microdistillery, and sidewalk requirements along existing public streets. Staff presentation by Shante Gooby.
I don't think that my presentation is going to last that long. So there's just a few things. So we had the UDO that was adopted in November of last year. We added in basically almost a 6-month sort of lead-up period, so that was March 1st of this year. Most of the items in this are cleanup items, but they weren't items that I would consider a Scrivener's error. They were things that I want to put in front of you to let you know what I'm changing, but at the end of the day, they're not substantive. Obviously, we have a new name of our department, which is Community and Development Services. One of the changes with the vegetation table is we basically just move some of the plants where they might have been native. It should be non-native or something like that again. It's not messing anyone up, but we just wanted it to be correct. So I am going to go through these 5 things a little bit more specifically. Number 1, we are updating the definition of the standards of microbreweries and microdistilleries to essentially have the same standards as a bar and a bar 2022. You've probably heard me talk about alcohol establishments in general. So what we're trying to do is to have those 4 different uses have the same standards. Number 2 is just going to be clarifying the number of security personnel with alcohol establishments if amplified entertainment after 11 is provided. That was something that I had a text amendment in front of you. I took to council. We noticed that it sort of said 2 different things. This is just a cleanup. Number 3 is to clarify the parking requirements, and I've got an example for you on that. Number 4 is to treat event centers with a mixed beverage permit as a bar. So that use would only be allowed in the same districts as a bar or other alcohol establishments. And then the last one is clarifying language of when sidewalks are required and then also de facto when they're not required. So the first one, microdistillery. Microdistillery is when you actually distill liquor on site. You can stay there and drink on site, or you can buy it and take it home with you. It is a little different in that if you have what we traditionally call a bar, they typically don't make the liquor on site. So we have this use. Microbrewery is exactly what it sounds like, except you're brewing beer on site. At the end of the day, those will have the same standards as the bar and the bar 2022. So for clarifying the text, what I've done is these next set of steps, or next set of items, I'm going to give you the red line text, and then I'm going to give you the final draft. So for this one, this had to do with security personnel when alcohol establishments had amplified entertainment, that means through a speaker, through a phone, after 11 p.m. And if you notice in the table, we broke it out to 1 to 100 was 1. And then we said at the bottom, we went to talk about how you still had to have 2 security guards on site. Well, that doesn't make sense if I'm only requiring 1. So what we did was we fixed it. And now 1 to 200 requires 2 security personnel, and then that takes care of the bottom paragraph for you. So it was just making things align. This does not negatively impact anyone who is already in existence. So this does not roll back to them. They are fine just the way they are. For the parking requirements, we had 2 uses that I think got a little garbled when we were adopting the UDO. So for recreation indoor, skating rinks, pool halls, ice skating, we had in there 1 space per 200 square feet, 10 spaces for waiting, and then 1 space per 2 employees. The new is just 1 space per 400 square feet, and then 1 space for every 2 employees. The other one is for any kind of golf, mini golf, golf course, your standard golf course. I think these got inverted because it currently says 3 spaces per tee, and then 10 spaces for waiting, and then also employee spacing. I went back and looked, and it's actually 1 space per 3 tees. So I think it just got a little confused. So this is the new, and then I've got an example. I looked at the ice skating rink on Red Banks Road. That has 20,400 square feet. I estimated 6 employees. Under the current code, that means they would owe me 102 spaces for the size, 10 for waiting, 3 for employees. Under the new standards, they would owe me 51 for the actual size and 3 for employees. I took out the waiting piece. I don't know that we need 10 spaces for people waiting. And then I also took it from the multiplier of 200 square feet to 400 square feet. So I think if you were to imagine the ice skating rink, you would see how 54 spaces seems far more in line than 115. And then for golf courses, and this is mini golf, anything related, under the current standards, that means you would owe me 54 spaces for the tees, 10 spaces for waiting, and 3 for employees. So that would be 67 spaces for a golf course. Under the new standards, you would owe me 12. And I think that's probably a little closer. You're not always going to be completely full. Some people are going to carpool. You can always give me more parking than what I require. You just can't give me less.
Shante,
Mm-hmm.
question. So are those two numbers, is that based on precedent? Is there some other cities with this exact same number?
This is for the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is typical, and this is what we had before. I'll back up so you can see. If you can look in the second box from the bottom, we had 3 spaces at that same time. So again, I think that the number got flipped. They got transposed.
So it was just a,
That was it.
Man,
But I want to bring it to you and let you know what I'm
Scrivener's
doing.
error.
yep, okay.
And again, one of the overarching ideas with the UDO was to bring down the parking standards more in line with what we have and not requiring excessive amount of parking.
Like you said, that doesn't mean they can't have more parking, because they're a
That's right.
competitive business, they can do what they want.
That's
but
correct. If they
just a
feel
minimum
like
standard.
they need 60, you can give me 60.
Gotcha.
And so again, that's my example. So for event center mixed beverage permit. So if you are, an event center is like when you rent a place to maybe have a party or a wedding reception. There is a difference between having an event center where there's no alcohol, and then you do have mixed beverages. Beer and wine does not count in this. And what we're doing is, in the UDO, we treat event centers with a mixed beverage permit as a bar, okay? So this is the red line, and at the end of the day, if this text amendment is approved, you will see the top box is for events, event center with mixed beverage. The bottom is bars. You see that they mirror each other is what I'm trying to show. This one, number 5, is about sidewalks. During the UDO, we talked a little bit about what is what's called sidewalk fee in lieu. And what that did is if you were in certain sections of the city, think of the industrial area, you're the last lot to be developed. Right now, we would require you to put in a sidewalk, even though your sidewalk would not connect to anything else, realistically. What this does is this says that if you were going to be required to put in that sidewalk, which realistically wasn't going to connect, you could pay a fee in lieu of essentially the cost of the sidewalk, and that would go into the bucket for city sidewalks, and it would be used to put sidewalks where they're most needed, okay? However, what this doesn't do is it doesn't allow you to not do sidewalks in single-family developments and multifamily developments where there are people. You can't opt out of sidewalks. You have to put those in. But in some of these cases here, that's numbered 1 through 6, when you're talking about long stretches of highway, there aren't really feasibly any sidewalks that's going to connect, then you can just pay the fee in lieu of, and the city will put sidewalks where they're most needed. An easy example is if you think about Fire Tower and Charles Boulevard, you have some sidewalks, and then you have some places that are a little older that never put in the sidewalk. That would be a place where you could use the money to fill the gap, to actually fill in sidewalks. That's essentially what this is for. Again, this is the red text, and this is the final text of how it will look. In staff's opinion, this request is in compliance with the Horizons Plan, specifically Chapter 4, Goal 4.1, which is a vibrant and growing economic hub. Support a positive business climate, continue to market Greenville's excellent business climate. Where appropriate, provide flexibility in development regulations to ensure a business climate that encourages growth and expansion, support business growth and retention through strategic public improvements, and ensure land regulations align with target industry needs. And I'll be happy to roll back through anything or answer any questions.
Yeah, I got it. Let's go back to the sidewalks. We just go backwards for
Sure.
a second. So, and you used it for an example, out there by Bees Barbecue Road, where they just was approved to put the stuff over here on the right side. So you're saying no sidewalks would be, they could just pay out of that to not have the sidewalks?
No, if you look at number 4,
Right.
this says Stantonsburg Road from Bees Barbecue Road west toward Raleigh. So that would be a place where you could opt out. But if you're on Bees Barbecue Road back toward Greenville, no.
Okay.
You would install the sidewalk.
Okay, okay. All right, and also, what prompted the changes? I'm just curious, because when we was going through the UDO, we was sending emails and stuff like that. What prompted, like, far as reduction in recreational indoor things or something like that? What prompted all of that?
Again, I think some of those got a little twisted when we were doing the UDO. Or it was like with the golf course and the number of holes, that was something that we're putting it back to the way it was.
Okay.
The real thing on those that I took out were the 10 spaces per waiting. I think that's a little excessive and probably not necessary. But the other one, as far as like the golf course, I'm putting it back to the way it was.
Okay, okay. And the reason why I asked that, because like you used the ice skating rink for an example. Well, when we was growing up with Sports World.
Yes.
And and I'm sure whoever came up with this idea for the parking spaces back then kind of understood what was going on then, because it was just a lot of people, a lot of cars. So I was just wondering how that would affect it and all. That's all. But and then when it came to the mini golf. Because remember we had the mini golf. Anybody remember that? Well, anyway, we had the mini golf and stuff, and just wondering about the parking. That's all. That's pretty much was it. And the bars and the event centers. So some event centers don't even open that much. So I was wondering what would prompt them to have to adhere to the standards of a bar, considering that they don't even.
If they have the mixed beverage permit. If they don't have a mixed beverage permit, then they don't get they're not looked at as a bar.
Can I ask a question about that? What about I don't know, but what about venues that don't have a mixed permit, but the person reserving the space for a wedding has a permit to serve alcohol? Does that then become a bar?
No, if they are doing what's essentially called a one special event, no, that is not part of this. This would be an event center that would hold its own liquor license.
So whenever they're open and they stay past 11 o'clock, they got to have the security personnel to meet that as well, or?
No, this is just the districts itself, just the commercial districts.
I was like, man, that put a lot on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the districts.
And just with the sidewalks, if buildings are being built on these places that are exempt and the money can go away, is the land actually still reserved off for a sidewalk in case development does reach out to there at some point?
No, it's probably still just resides in the right-of-way itself and that sidewalk easement probably is either in the right-of-way or doesn't exist. Okay. So it's not going to have any encumbrances on them if they didn't put the sidewalk in.
I have a question. I noticed in the description of this item, it mentioned updating the standards for shelter for homeless or abused persons. And I apologize, when I read through the thing, and skimmed some parts,
Right.
I missed that. Was there anything substantive about that,
No.
or is that a cleanup?
Not at all. It was just a cleanup. It's actually on page 53 in your packet.
Okay.
And what we did was, it had a minimum square footage, but it only called out one zoning district, and it should have been 2.
Okay,
Just a cleanup.
got it.
That's all.
Any other questions for staff?
Side item, but the UDO, is there a definition for like THC beverages and stuff like that as a category?
The closest that you're probably going to find yourself in is that the tobacco and hemp retail use encapsulates all the various different versions of marijuana, kratom, Delta 8, THC. I mean, it's a list this long of all the various things. I know way too much about it. I've never used any of it. It basically, all of those things are now housed under that one use, which is tobacco and hemp retail.
Well, THC beverages is commonly served now
Yeah.
in retail restaurants and bars, and matter of fact, alcohol sales is really starting to flatten, and that's prevailing because it doesn't have some of the other impacts. So I just didn't know whether, since we're doing this UDO, which is our modernization of our plan, that's a modern, significant trend that's happening that for bars, restaurants, and others, being what I do now, that's something, I just didn't know whether that had been addressed to not limit or inhibit businesses from being able to compete against other communities.
I believe it says in our definition, products that contain. What I'm saying is, I don't know that it differentiates between if it's a liquid, if it is something that you smoke or take, or a pill or a liquid. I think if it has THC in it or any of the other things, it is lumped under hemp and
Prohibitive.
tobacco.
Okay, so that'd be prohibited from restaurants and bars, or?
I am not in the enforcement game.
All right, Mr. Attorney.
I'm pretty sure it's not in this city.
Well, it may not be written in the code, but sometimes the world advances faster than code, and if we're doing an update to our UDO.
My understanding is it's currently not prohibited, but it's all kind of in flux. As you're aware, since you're in the business, I mean, Farm Bill Act has essentially was extended about a year. There's no real cohesive regulations about it. There's a lot of different opinions.
States
and
looking at it
ambiguity
right
in
now.
Right, so like, I think the idea is we're kind of holding off until we get some guidance in regards to how this is all going to kind of shake out. But I know there's currently like gas stations and things like that do it. How that's defined, how they classify or describe the actual chemical compound or how they're doing it. Like sometimes it'll state THC, but it's THCA, or it's like pre-weight, pre-flower. As she said, my brother's like about the SOG kind of expert for this thing and the cannabinoid content. Like, it's silly at this point. I don't think any of us are kind of scientists in regards to how that classification is going. As far as the UDO concerns, I don't think we're really specifically calling that out or have really anything that's really applicable. But I think the idea, at least from the city's perspective, is once there's kind of some formal guidelines and regulations in regards to that, we're going to have to adjust to it ultimately. So
Yeah,
it
okay.
doesn't make a lot of sense for us
That
to
makes
guess
sense.
and try. Yeah.
I actually thought it was illegal because the sponsors been contacting us about putting it. I'm like, I don't think. I'm
Again,
supposed
it
to do
kind of
that.
depends on how it's. I mean, we could have a.
It's not regulated.
Back in my
It's
criminal
the
defense,
opposite of-
yeah, back in my criminal
It's
defense
just
days, this was a source of a lot of fun arguments that you could have.
Yeah, I
It's just like
declined
gray
it.
area
I was
right
like,
now.
nah, I don't think that's legal. No, yes, it is.
I mean, there's people right now, you could go to a store that you could buy something that looks, smells, like all seems like it would be illegal, but it's not technically illegal,
Yeah.
and it's all pre-weighed, and the synthetic, like, again, none of us, I think, are in that business.
So we're waiting to get some federal
We're waiting to
clarity.
get some
Federal and state
guidance.
clarity.
I thought it was
Federal-
trying to.
yeah.
I thought it was trying to set me up.
I think there's a governor, and just for the board's edification, I think there's a governor task force right now exploring exactly how they're gonna do that. I think they've talked about potentially the ABC board maybe taking over. Or
They just
set of
endorsed-
guidelines, right?
Yeah.
And then we're waiting for the federal stuff. So
Anyway,
they're
I
changing
got
the
you.
classifications and guidelines. That's the rationale.
Yeah,
essentially.
all good.
Whatever.
All right.
Nice long lawyer answer. And if you guys were curious, this requires that language.
A long motion? Okay. Are there any other questions for staff? The public hearing is now open. The first speaker will have, let's see, what is the language on that? The first speaker will have 5 minutes, with each additional speaker having 3 minutes until 30 minutes has expired. Is there anyone present to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone present to speak in opposition to the request? The public hearing is now closed. I'll turn it over to the board for further discussion or a motion.
Motion to recommend approval of the proposed amendment to advise that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and to adopt a staff report which addresses plan consistency and other matters.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion passes. And our next item is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I heard a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, say nay. All right. See you guys next month.
All right.